This is the overview for Sociology 341, the second midterm study guide. So let's take a look here. And there are 4 chapters, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So 4 questions, and as usual, you'll be assigned 2 of them randomly. So here we go. Chapter 6 is chapter 1 question is from chapter 6. And here I'm asking you to summarize in detail the urban development patterns between Western and Eastern European cities. So what you're going to want to make sure you do is summarize the Western. So you're going to have to read through these pages. It's about 20 there. And so summarize those development patterns between Western and then Eastern Europe. And then, as of course you're studying those pages, you'll also want to, keep track of or make a note of the structural causes that contributed to the differences that you note. And I see that that's a typo, so I'm going to have to correct that. Oh no, what structural causes contribute to the differences that you note? That's probably better worded. I'll have to do that to say what structural causes contribute to the differences between the Western and Eastern European countries or cities. Choose 2 places discussed in the text and explain how these countries changed over time and what effects those changes had. So there are a number of countries that are discussed, so just choose 2 of them and explain how these countries changed over time and what effect those changes had, because not all countries have experienced the same kind of development over the last 50 to 75 years. Question, and of course I try to highlight the concepts or the terms that you should make you pay attention to what you're looking for, the information you're looking for. Also put the page numbers where you can go back and refer to the area of the chapter that are most relevant to this part of the question. As I said last time, making at least making an outline, possibly even typing up the outline and filling in some information so that depending upon which questions you get, you're able to flesh those ideas out more, and then you have a really good start of a great answer. You can do it the other way, of course, which is just wait to see what you get and then type into the box. But again, it's up to you. Those other people who write up the whole question for all 4 and then copy and paste that into the submission box is another option. Question number 2 comes from chapter 7. Here I ask you, how are multicentric metropolitan regions, the MCMRs, connected to other multicentric metropolitan regions in the globalist capitalist system? And I gave you the page numbers there. What does this tell us about the relationship between global capitalism, the state, and the real estate sector? Be sure to support your answer with examples, and there are plenty of them in the text. Use the socio-spatial approach to explain the different roles the state plays in urbanization in China and India. Is the state the reason why slums are so prevalent in India and not in China? Why or why not? And again, some page numbers in there as well. Number 3, explain the socio-spatial approach to social problems and analyze whether social problems are evenly distributed across space in the metropolitan region. Discuss at least 2 causes of racial residential segregation. Explain how the following social problems relate to segregation: poverty, housing, and crime. And then finally, the 4th question comes from chapter 9. Choose 2 of the social class groups discussed in this chapter and assess the impact of their lifestyles and consumer habits on urban social space and social life. Describe the paradox that the LGBTQ community faces. Is this leading to the decline or transformation of the gay enclave? A paradox, if you don't know what that means, I would hope you would look it up, but just briefly, paradox means two things that don't seem to go together. Like one thing is happening, but then, which seems good, but then maybe something else is happening which seems bad. So, a paradox. What are the important social functions of the neighborhood for marginalized members of the LGBTQ community? Finally, in your opinion, does the deconcentration of immigrant enclaves throughout the multicentric metropolitan region illustrate assimilation or the continuation of segregation? The deconcentration of immigrant enclaves could also be referred to as gentrification. And I see that that's a typo here. It should be chapter 9. Fix that too. We know that people who are not part of the immigrant group are moving into these ethnic enclaves, these immigrant enclaves, and that changes, of course, the demographics. Possibly it changes the community in other ways as well. And so is that occurrence something that illustrates assimilation, or does it illustrate the continuation of segregation? There we go. Those are the four. Good. Well, you don't need luck. I know you'll do well.